welcome back, viewers. We've been constantly tracking the whole run-up to elections in United States of America in the middle of a pandemic, and of course, with Donald Trump part of it, it's always going to be interesting. Now, a big development has taken place in the last 24 hours. The California Senator Kamala Harris will be running along with Joe Biden as his vice president candidate. Former Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris, obviously has an Indian connection, which is why we have a little bit more interest in her and her professional career. But let's try and understand, what does this mean, her entire career in US politics, and how this is really being seen in United States of America and amongst pollsters there as well. Remember, her mother was born in Chennai before the family actually migrated to United States. Her grandfather was a freedom fighter who fought for India's independence, and she is somebody who is very vocal and assertive about her Indian roots as well. In fact, to tell us more about how this is being viewed in the political circles in United States, I've got David Byler, data analyst and political columnist of the Washington Post, joining me right now. David, thanks so much for speaking to us here on Mirror Now. For our viewers to understand here, was this an expected choice, Kamala Harris as VP candidate to Biden?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And yeah, it was one of the expected choices. There were a few different candidates who were sort of the front runners who people expected might be the pick, and Harris was one of them. She is a candidate who has traditional credentials, but she's also a trailblazing candidate. Like you said, she's Indian American in her origin. She is also a Black woman. She's someone who sort of represents the rising diversity of the Democratic Party, as well as having sort of all the right qualifications. And she showed that she's good at debates, at speeches, when she actually ran for president herself in the 2020 Democratic primary.
How important is the Indian American vote bank going to be in this election, David? Obviously, that's what Biden seems to be reaching out for with Kamala Harris at the helm.
Right. So the Indian American vote is not the largest voting bloc in the United States. There are other sort of larger ones out there, but it is a solidly Democratic one. If you look at different groups in the United States and how they vote, Indian Americans are one of the most sort of uniformly Democratic ones. And I think it helps Biden to keep those voters sort of in the fold and in the Democratic camp, and to try to manage every part of his coalition. So I think that definitely is an advantage for him with a pick like Harris.
Okay, and where does this candidature stand or help, amidst this entire campaign about Black Lives Matter, the whole conversation about racism that's been going on in United States? Are the Democrats, hoping that Kamala as the VP will also help them garner those votes?
Yeah, I think that's part of the sort of logic of this choice as well, is that, Harris is a Black woman. She's been involved in law enforcement. She was Attorney General in the state of California. So she has a lot of credentials that sort of put her in the center of sort of the debate over police brutality and criminal justice. And at the same time, though, she hasn't held sort of radical positions. So Joe Biden sort of gets to have his cake and eat it too, so to speak. He is not drawn into the most radical positions by picking her, but she's still sort of an acknowledgement of the role that protesters, Black Lives Matter, that they're playing, and sort of their growing level of influence in the Democratic Party.
But there are many within that camp as well, within the Black Lives Matter protesters or their supporters, who are not too happy with Kamala Harris's record, especially when she was the Attorney General. We understand that there are allegations that she wasn't tough enough against the cops at that point of time. Will that be a concern?
I think that that's something where the balancing act of Joe Biden sort of comes into play. So with Harris, with Biden, he oftentimes takes stances that are in the middle of his party. He doesn't go too moderate. He doesn't go too progressive. And Harris is sort of a pick that is in line with that. So a lot of the voters who have that concern and would be sort of most unhappy with Harris for that reason, those voters probably are safely in Biden's camp anyways, because he's running against Donald Trump and they would never vote for Donald Trump. So this is sort of a way for Biden to acknowledge different pieces of the party while still not getting drawn into some of the more unpopular stances, like defund the police, which has become a slogan among some. So it's sort of a way of trying to, have it both ways. But, no pick is going to perfectly satisfy every wing of the Democratic Party. It's too big of a party for that. But Harris, I think, does about the best job of any of the candidates that Biden considered.
Donald Trump tweeted, David, calling her the meanest and the most horrible U.S. senator. What's the sense within the political circles there? Is Kamala Harris somebody who can really take him head on?
Yeah, I think the sense is generally yes. So Harris was involved in a number of Senate hearings around, President Trump and around some of the issues around Mueller investigation and so on and so forth. She's someone who's widely seen as a person who can sort of stand in the public square and both take punches and sort of deal them out. So I think most people on sort of the left side of the aisle are not concerned about Harris being able to sort of function in the political arena. I think right now, Trump and Pence and the Republicans are going to be trying a lot of different lines of attack against Harris. They're going to be trying, this attack. They're going to be trying different things from her record, just in an attempt to see what actually sticks and what works. So my guess is that in the coming days and weeks, this isn't the only type of attack you're going to see on Harris as they sort of do trial and error to see what works.
All right, David, thank you so much for joining us here and, having this conversation with us, closely tracking the campaign for U.S. presidential elections, which will be later this year. Thanks so much, David, for being with us. Let's move on and get you the latest about the kind of monsoon fury that we are seeing in various parts of our country, from Kerala to right up to Bihar. First, let's get you an update on Idukki, where the landslide took place 5 days ago. The death toll has now mounted to 55. The entire village of tea workers pretty much got wiped off with this landslide, viewers. We're still being told that there may be 15 more bodies that are feared to be trapped beneath all of that debris, which is now being cleared away, and so rescue operations continue. The rains have been on and off, proving to add to the challenge for the rescue operations in Idukki. Meanwhile, from Idukki in Kerala, let's go across to what's happening in Bihar. And this must be the third road/bridge that's been washed away this monsoon season in Bihar within a month. And this one, a swanky new road that allegedly cost 500 crore rupees, got washed away on the day of the inauguration. Yes, it was supposed to be inaugurated just a few hours before that in heavy rainfall. The road itself got washed away. Here's a report.
That what about the investigation and what about the loopholes which have been found in the construction of these bridges? Remember, this is not the first case. We have been reporting over the past few days on how approach road of several bridges which have been inaugurated by the chief minister or by ministers are being washed away because of floods or because of water pressure. Now these are being washed away just days after the inauguration. Clearly this shows that there is a lot of corruption in the construction of these bridges or approach road, and it seems that this department has not learnt a lesson from their past. But today, as far as this Bhangra Ghat Mahasetu is concerned, now remember, what is surprising is that it was to be inaugurated by the chief minister, and within just few hours before the inauguration, the approach road of this Bhangra Ghat Mahasetu was washed away, which was constructed at a cost of 509 crores on the Gandak River, was washed away because of high water pressure. Now certainly when such bridges are constructed, you know that these are flood affected areas. Every year these areas get to see flood. But despite that, when construction takes place, or the contractor who's given a contract, why doesn't the contractor or the department sees to it that the construction should be of such parameters that they can at least sustain the floods or heavy water? But certainly that is not happening, and that is the reason why the opposition today lashed out at the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. Tejasvi Yadav, leader of opposition, held a press conference here in Patna, clearly targeting the Chief Minister and the present government here in Bihar. He said that this shows the mass level of corruption, and what is more surprising is that not a single word has come in from the government or from the Road Construction Department Minister, Mr. Nandkishore Yadav. Now, certainly the contractor needs to be held responsible for this, but as far as the past incidents are concerned, certainly not a single action has been taken. There has been no suspension. No, the contractor has not been blacklisted.
And so, viewers, before I end the show, let me also highlight that 15th August marks 2 months of the deadly clash that took place in Galwan between the Indian and the Chinese soldiers, where we lost 20 of our brave soldiers. This Independence Day, Times Network is proud to put together and present to you a special documentary, Gallantry at Galwan, a tale of valor as a tribute to the martyrs of Galwan who made the ultimate sacrifice. So don't forget to tune in on 15th of August at 1 p.m. on Times Now, Mirror Now and Times Now World.